much about the tournament, so much about what's happening, and I'll do so during the spectator delay. But right now, we're right into the pick and bans of Cloud9 Tempest versus Legendary. Two teams going head-to-head to keep their spot in the AlphaDraft Challenger League here, as we are now in the quarterfinals. Bans coming out so quickly. Xerath and Ziggs already taken away from Bishu.
Yeah, no surprise to see all those wave clear, long-range pokey mid laners taken away from Bishu. It kind of been a specialty ever since you picked up Nidalee and entered the Rift the first time around. Urgot's going to be the last ban on the side of Cloud9 Tempest, whereas for Legendary side, LeBlanc, don't want Yasui getting his hands on that one, and Thresh so far have been the ban, so pretty much very popular pickups. Everything pretty much like the Xerath has kind of been standard ban so far.
Yeah, and this is kind of to be expected. I got a chance to talk to Yasui a little bit yesterday, and he said they're going to pay, or they have a lot of respect for Bishu and Law Pally overall as players, so no surprises to see the mid lane champions kind of banned out for Bishu. His Nidalee play may not be as viable in the current meta, but you give him one of those long-range champions, and he's just so absolutely lethal. And already Cloud9, though, going to get a power pick for themselves. Laud picking up that Kalista, a pick he has made incredibly powerful and has won them a lot of games in the past.
Yeah, the Kalista pickup is definitely a powerful pick. I mean, it's something that you don't necessarily have to worry about first picking. The only thing you really have to kind of concern yourself with is, well, are there going to be any really tanky members on the opposite team from Legendary? By banning out the Urgot in the bottom lane, that's already been taken away, and they've banned out the Hecarim from top lane themselves. Wouldn't be surprised, actually, if we wind up seeing something along the lines of like a Maokai or even like a Nautilus support coming in, though, because Kalista, you know, she stacks up the spears. You got to get those Ren stacks going before she really deals a lot of damage. The tankier you are, the harder it's going to be, so we'll have to see if they want it going for that philosophy. And they're hovering over the Nunu right now, so there's one tanky pickup here, and the Lucian actually not that bad against it in lane.
An interesting pick indeed, of course, with Lucian, impactful. Has shown in the past that he's a pretty confident laner. Of course, definitely hasn't proved himself quite yet. This is a relatively new team, Legendary. A lot on the line for them. They came into the AlphaDraft Challenger League a little bit late, inheriting another team's record, as you guys have kind of been a part of a little bit of chaos that we've experienced in the AlphaDraft Challenger League so far. But definitely a confident, aggressive player, looking to pick an confident, aggressive matchup. The downside, though, Nautilus still on the table, and Sheep is absolutely one of the most aggressive supports in the league. I'd be surprised not to see them pick it up here.
Yeah, I mean, basically anything with a hook is going to be very, very powerful in Sheep's hands. So that could be a potential really great pickup as well with the Kalista synergy in that lane. They are hovering over the Annie right now. We'll have to see if that's what they wind up going for. And they actually do pick away the Maokai too. Now, on Legendary side, I don't really peg Acadian as a Maokai player, but that is one of those other tanky kinds of champions that you could have gone for. Not only that, but the Vengeful Maelstrom also very effective at lowering the already necessary stacking damage that a Kalista pickup is going to bring from the table from Laud. But now there's just a lot of engage coming out from the side of Cloud9 Tempest. The point-and-click CC coming out from the Twisted Advance, the Flash Tibbers capabilities coming out from an Annie support. That's going to be a very powerful engage tool. We'll have to see what Legendary is going to be able to respond with.
Yeah, and while we wait for the hover-overs, with this much hard engage, do you think this fits into Cloud9's style overall as a more aggressive team?
I kind of like it. So the Kalista pickup, it's going to be dealing a lot of damage towards like the mid game. Once you wind up getting the two core items, whether it be something along the lines of a Blade of the Rune King build, or if we see a little bit more of the quote-unquote traditional Renon's Hurricane and Bloodthirster build, there's a very, very mid-game kind of centric power spike to the Kalista lane, and just backing it up with a lot of burst damage and a lot of team fight potential from Cloud9 Tempest. I really like how that will kind of play into what they want to do. But we're switching it up a little bit on the side of Legendary. They've locked in the Rengar pickup, which is most likely going to be put into the hands of Acadian, and they've picked up another tanky support pickup here in the Alistar that was left open too. I really like the Alistar Lucian combination because there's a lot of damage and a lot of crowd control to kind of lock the Kalista down if they're going to try to fight her in the 2v2 matchup straight up. The Rengar pickup though, I mean, normally I wouldn't be sold on that one, but in the hands of somebody like Acadian who's already shown his versatility on some of these not necessarily meta picks in the top lane, I actually am a little bit excited to see how he does with this.
Well, I mean, and overall, too, I know Cloud9 very nervous, actually, about Acadian and his more controversial top lane picks. They said themselves, I got a chance to talk to them yesterday, as I said, you know, it's something they're going to pay a lot of respect to. They don't know exactly what to respect or to expect from him, but everything that he plays, he's incredibly comfortable on. Now, we've seen a lot of top laners in this league, like Alorum, who are masters of like a single champion. Like his is Wukong. On the opposite side, Acadian, a master of a lot of unconventional things. We saw his Yasuo play combined with Bishu's Orianna. It was absolutely insane. I wonder if we'll see a similar pickup here. but definitely going to be lethal and excited to see if he can make the same impact we'd get from something more standard like this Maokai. Now, though, looks like Rek'Sai and Cassiopeia, the final locks in for Cloud9.
And I really like how this kind of rounds out the Cloud9 Tempest roster here. Picking the late game scaling of Cassiopeia, you have a lot of burst damage coming out from her. You have a lot, or basically just a lot of raw magic damage coming out from a fully stacked Cassiopeia in the late game. We've seen that in professional play all over the place. And the Rek'Sai also adds some early kill pressure from a jungler that can gank through walls, go over walls. I mean, we saw just recently at the midseason invitational, Rek'Sai's ganking around level 3 and level 4, being able to burrow through walls and blow summoner spells extremely early in a duo lane matchup. Very, very powerful pickup here. And I like how it rounds out the composition because you have the Kalista who wants a little bit of time to deal some damage and get the items that she needs in order to do that damage. You have the tanky frontline now of a Maokai and a Rek'Sai. And then even if the game goes a little bit later on, you switch focus and have that Cassiopeia pick in order to wind up kind of rounding out just the overall timings of your power spikes on different picks. But on the flip side, we're going to get to see, I guess, it's kind of become a classic matchup in recent time with the Azir versus Cassiopeia. Both of those mages in the mid lane scaling into the late game extremely well.
And of course, Azir paired with that Nunu from Dardoch will have that, blood boil attack speed steroid to do that much more damage in the mid to late game. And my big champion here is going to be this Alistar for Loppali. Loppali has proved himself time and time again as an incredible challenger support. And also, we saw Mako on EDG busting out this Alistar and just having such a massive impact. It was a hugely contested pick in that final set between SKT and EDG. And he got it pretty late here, and we'll have to see if this is a pick that was specific to those two kind of titans of esports, or if it's something that anybody can pick up. If Loppali, as a challenger player, can have the same impact with this Alistar pick.
And one of the cool things about the Alistar and the Rengar kind of synergy is they're going to be able to wind up diving down onto whatever carry is more powerful at the point in time of the game on Cloud9 Tempest, and hopefully either blow them up or lock them down and lock them out of the fight. On top of this, you have the Nunu, which is going to wind up slowing somebody like a Kalista down immensely by throwing that Ice Blast on her. She's going to suffer when she doesn't necessarily have all that attack speed to help her stack up those rend stacks and get her damage out as quickly as possible. And on top of this, we've seen kind of teams from Korea like the SK Telecoms. They've been picking the Lucian and giving him a Nunu Blood Boil, and he's not the best AD carry in the world to synergize with that, although he does do extremely well with the attack speed bonus. Although on this composition, you also have the Azir, and giving him a bit of attack speed bonus is not going to be a terrible thing either. Sand Soldiers really pack a punch in the late game, and I mean, I think we've kind of come to the terms that in the late game, Azir deals bullshit amounts of damage. I think that's the proper terminology for it. So there's definitely a lot of damage from both of these sides, and it's going to be explosive team fights. I mean, you tweeted out earlier this is going to be a bloodbath, and so far these team competitions kind of speak to it.
Yeah, and we're going to have to see exactly when that comes off. But guys, we have about a minute and a half left on the spectator delay. So in the meantime, head on over to AlphaDraft.com and draft a lineup if you haven't already done so. I think they're only doing free drafts today, but we may have more paid drafts in the future. And if not, you can always kind of prep for the coming NA and EU LCS. And also, we've started a new giveaway in partnership with Razer and AlphaDraft. Wellplay.org/giveaway. They're giving away a full set of peripherals, all of the Chroma ones nonetheless. So the Black Widow Chroma, the Death Adder Chroma, the Chroma headset for me, I can't remember the name, but so customize your colors, maybe show your support for your favorite challenger team as you do what you do on a daily basis. But we'll be back in about a minute with our first game in the series between Cloud9 and Legendary. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the first match in the quarterfinals of the AlphaDraft Challenger League. It's going to be Cloud9 versus Legendary, and starting it up for Cloud9, it's going to be Solo in the top lane on that Maokai. Hard on the Rek'Sai jungle, Yusui on the Cassiopeia mid lane, already trading some blows. Laud and Sheep with the Kalista Annie bot lane.
And in the red corner, weighing somewhere between 500 and 1,000 pounds, is Legendary with Acadian being chased away on his Rengar top lane already. Damn.
Dang. Already a flash burned this early, and you gotta, we saw coming out Cloud9. We're gonna give a lot of respect to Acadian and his controversial picks. Looks like taking away a flash early might already be an indication of potentially a 2v1 here.
I mean, Acadian was he just going to just scout out what was going on, but Cloud9 Tempest seemed to have this idea that they really want to know where Dardoch is going to be starting. The Nunu, of course, with his Consume Smite, going to be able to be a master of the early jungle objectives and making sure that they put the wards down over by his red buff and have a good, clear start as to where he's going to be. Kind of crucial for the information coming out from Cloud9 Tempest, because hard on that Rek'Sai, he wants, like we said, put early pressure down, have the ability to gank a lane early if he so chooses to. If a Nunu's going to be coming into his jungle and stealing his bust and stealing his experience away, that's going to set the Rek'Sai behind. So very important to get that vision down, and the flash burn was just a bonus.
And it looks like the mirror vision on both sides, each team looking for the lane swap potentially, as we see Rek'Sai and Maokai move down to pick up this red buff. Similar starts on the opposite side. Looks like they're going to donate this Krug over to Lucian and to Alistar, but with a lane swap in the top lane, we talked about how Cloud9 was going to try to shut down Acadian, how they may pay a lot of respect over to Bishu and Law Pally, and it looks like they're kind of, getting the 2-for-1 here as they switch to the 2v1 to deny Acadian and make sure that they're not left alone in a lane with Law Pally. So some smart early play coming in from Cloud9.
Yeah, and that's also one of the downsides to Acadian, his very unique champion pool, is a lot of these high damage dealing top laners, the carry top laners and the guys who are able to move around the map, they need maybe one item power spike or a level power spike, and lane swaps work out extremely well against them. Now, Cloud9 Tempest came into this one already with that game plan in mind, as you can see the double jungle going down from them. Acadian, though, he burned his summoner spell, so he's going to be happy to pal along with Dardoch and do the double jungle for themselves. Wards on the map do indicate that both teams know they're going to go into opposite sides and just going to wind up trading away these red buffs as well.
Yeah, and the big question, obviously, for both of these teams is what's the first move going to be? We have to watch these junglers to see where they end up. These aren't standard lanes, so we don't expect standard plays, but the Kalista now being left alone to farm, the Annie and the Maokai headed to the bot lane. They're going to have to be careful, though. There are 4 members of Legendary waiting for them.
Yeah, this is actually really smart. They know that a lane swap is going to come back just in time for that minion wave to crash down into the tower, and they're just sitting here waiting for it. We'll have to see if they want to get into this. Ooh, that's a really crucial ward.
So close. Rengar could obviously get the sight there, wanted to jump in, isn't going to be able to, so they're not going to be able to find the kill here. They may back off. Now we'll see a dive. Solo and Sheep only level 1. We may see them try to initiate here. Looks like they are just going to resign themselves to farming up a little bit. Kalista on the top side, still farming pretty well, stacking up that wave. About matching Lucian, a small CS differential, not too huge, but Yusui and Bishu trading so aggressively in mid. Like, coming from behind, Bishu could be gone, and his first blood coming in for Cloud9 there. Oh, and that's a huge step.
There's the power of that Rek'Sai pickup coming in. Like I said, it's going to be able to go over walls. It's going to be able to punish people that overextend, like Bishu on his Azir there. Didn't even blow any of his summoner spells, but because of the movement on the map and the fact that they had the dual lane on the bottom side, Legendary is going to be able to respond by picking up the first dragon with the Nunu Consume Smite combination. But at the same exact time, that's already a kill given away to the hyper-scaling Cassiopeia. And like we said, in a matchup between 2 late-game scaling AP carries, whoever gets the early advantage is definitely going to need some extra attention in that lane.
And Bishu has to be eager to prove himself here. He left League of Legends for a long time, just now coming back with this new lineup. We could see aggression in the bot lane as Solo getting engaged on Law Pally, trying to find something here. Looks like they may not be able to find the kill, and he is going to back off. Getting a little too excited about that one. Not a whole ton of action, but as I was saying, Yusui is an established mid laner. Tried out for the main Cloud9 roster, has proven himself in the challenger lineup. Bishu, proven himself in the past, but has a lot more to prove here. And going down for first blood, definitely not the way he wanted to start this game.
It's got to be a little bit of an ego blow to realize that the person who came in to replace you on Cloud9 Tempest picked up first blood on you.
But Acadian Gonna go down as well. Lot, a master apparently of Kalista, as we see that new banner pop up, picking up that one pretty easily and hard. We've talked time and time again about how these carries work out so well for him when he can provide early game pressure to these junglers. And clearly working out well today, as well as both of the solo kind of style carries, Bishu and Acadian, going down in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah, and both of them just looked like that they had been a little bit too far forward in their lane matchups. I mean, Cloud9 Tempest has a ward in the mid lane side, so they knew that that side was bare. On the flip side, Acadian and Bishu both did not have wards down in the river at the point in time when they got ganked. So being just maybe a little bit too gutsy here, and it could just speak to the fact that Legendary, a rather new challenger team roster, may not necessarily have the same adaptations that an established roster like Cloud9 Tempest, who've been playing together for many, many months now, have in this lane swap situation. The early game, the vision control, crucial for the rotational play that's going to come out between those two.
Yeah, it looks like they're reasonably comfortable in the standard laning phase as we see Acadian push in here. They may be able to do more in the 2v1, but they have to be careful. They are behind. It's only 800 gold at this point. They do have a dragon in their favor, but that gold lead is pretty much in the mid lane alone, as we see 52 to 34 in CS, and Cassio, normally pretty weak at this stage of the game, is looking pretty strong, free to stack up that tier, and Bishu not even level 6 yet.
Yeah, and this is all just the fact that Bishu, he still has both of his summoner spells. He didn't blow anything when he did wind up getting ganked, but just knowing that there's that earlier game pressure and that Rek'Sai is going to be able to come in and really hanker down on you and pick up a kill, put down some damage, whereas Nunu on the flip side, he went and got that early dragon, went back, has picked up his Stalker's Blade, so he's kind of been a little bit slower and hasn't gotten necessarily the same experience that Rek'Sai has from picking up 2 kills. So Nunu, a little bit on the backside from that one. Bishu just realizing that even in the 2v2 matchup right now, they don't have an edge, so he is playing extremely safe, and you can see the CS differential already 18 between the two of them starting to rise because of that.
Definitely continuing to grow. As you said, Acadian doing okay against Solo in top lane, but not trading too well. Solo looking surprisingly confident in this relatively unknown matchup. Maybe some solo queue experience there for him. And similarly, we talked about Legendary being kind of a younger team, but luckily for them, this is, their first kind of best of 3 that they've played competitively in a long time. But this one, and we didn't get a chance to touch on this early, is purely for seeding. So if they do lose these games, if they do lose this best of 3, they just end up with a lower seed and will end up playing against Misfits. So we'll have to see what they can do. Obviously, this is only game 1 in a best of 3.
Not one in the... You see, it's kind of difficult. If you win this match, you play Frank Bang Gaming. You lose this match, you play Misfits. Neither of those really sound like a walk in the park. Those are both extremely, extremely intense matchups. So both these teams definitely going to want to try to flex their muscles and show that both of those teams waiting for them the other side of the bracket that they definitely have some stuff to show them. But speaking of stuff to show, looks like Hard has the timer for the blue buff. Wants to try to go in here, make a case here against Dardoch, but looks like Bishu is going to be able to come around the side as well. But no, actually he stole it.
Wow, a lot of attention being paid to the bottom side of the map, and it looks like Art able to grab that one, as the wonderfulness that is directed camera allowed me to see Rengar trading in the top lane.
Same.
But I mean, really, that's a huge step for them. Taking that blue buff away from Bishu is going to make it so much harder for him to do much in the laning phase. And of course, Bishu already suffering. They wanted to give a lot of attention to Bishu. They wanted to shut down Law Pally as well, and they're doing a pretty good job of it so far. Of course, the AD carry is relatively even in farm, but a single kill going over to Kalista is a pretty decent advantage item. Still comparable, though.
Yeah, and speaking of other advantages, we saw the fact that early on, Cloud9 Tempest put down a lot of wards on the red side jungle from Legendary at the beginning just to get a path where Nunu's going to be. That also means that they have the timers. We saw Rek'Sai making his way over to the red buff. Instead of going to contest the red buff, he knows that Nunu is waiting to take it, and he's looking for a gank up on Acadian, but Acadian with a really nice ward scouts that one out, so a little bit of mind game coming in here with the wards from both sides. Cloud9 Tempest knows the timers of the bus and knew where Nunu was going to be, but Legendary responded great by putting that preemptive ward down to scout out the Rek'Sai.
And Rek'Sai just taking up residence in Nunu's jungle. Such an aggressive move. Nunu may not be the best at trading, but can easily just steal those camps away, and yet no fear from this team. We could see Law Pally go in, though. No, it looks like just gonna knock him away. Take a little bit of damage for his time. Gonna make sure to stop that back. Hope to give Lucian a little bit of a CS advantage. Maybe deny a little something. But both teams seem eager for a fight there. We saw Alistair kind of teasing it out. This is kind of what we'd expect from these two aggressive lineups. Hard going in, though. They find something. The bear goes in. They're going to get taken down easily. Loppally trying to find a way out. We'll have to see if he can. Yasui flashing, using the Twin Fang to pick that one up. And already 2-0. Only 10 minutes in. That's Sheep. The aggressive engage we expected.
The Flash Timbers, we talked about it in Champ Sledge. It's going to be really hard to fight in some of these choke points right here. And Legendary, they got the first dragon, so they figure, oh, we snuck that one away while they ganked in mid lane. They might not have the timer on them, like you said, because Hard is really taking up resonance in the enemy jungle. They saw that the dragon had respawned. They knew that it was going to be coming up relatively soon, and they saw Nunu and Alistar moving over towards the dragon pit. Cloud9 Tempest make a really good call to send the roaming support coming up from Sheep. The mid laner roams out at the same time, and since their junglers basically in the enemy jungle 24/7 already, they're just able to collapse down and catch Legendary for that one. Pick up the first dragon of the game.
100% kill participation coming in from Hard. Truly the playmaker of this team, as expected. Plays to his style overall. And Cloud9 kind of just showing that they are the more experienced team. Honestly, as expected, Legendary has a lot to prove. They're a young lineup and really struggling against the confident decision-making coming in here from Cloud9. And they make it a tower, but it looks like they're going to have to back off. They have to be careful about Sheep. Solo on the backside. One TP coming in. Looks like Rengar will be there as well. We'll have to see exactly what he can do. Loppally getting knocked down. Not even level 6 yet. No Unbreakable Will available for him. He's going to get knocked out, Acadian. Doing a little bit of damage there with those Bola, especially the empowered one. They're going to have to back off, and Cloud9 turning everything against Legendary. They cannot find an advantage.
No, and this stems from the fact that Lada has gotten such a big advantage from the early game lane swap, and now has picked up 2 kills for himself. He has a Blade of the Rune. Sheep got to be a little bit careful about taking some of those Lucian shots to the face. He doesn't have a completed Infinity Edge yet, whereas Kalista on the opposite side already with that Blade of the Rune King. We talked about if Kalista's going to be getting that 1 or 2 item power spike, those Rens are really going to hurt.
You can already see Lodge just so confident, even tanking a couple tower shots here to finish that one up. They have to be careful though. Acadian on the way in. The bear for the counter engage. Impactful could be trouble. Will they find something back? Yes, Acadian will grab a kill for himself. Hungry for more as he runs in here. The flash going to be used, but Lod going straight into another bush. Has to be careful. Dardock on the way in. Blade of the Rune King coming out as well. They have the bowl of the turrets down. They're all channeled, and Lod going to drop as Acadian finds 2. Loppally happy to follow up with another, and now a sudden swing of power, 4 for 3, and a very small lead now. Slightly larger. Hard manages to take a turret back.
That was, I thought it was a really interesting play that Acadian, he had faith in the backup coming in, that he made that flash engage play after the tower was going down. He knew that his team was going to be able to come in and back him up, and Maokai diving down onto him just went right into the trap. So in a 4v3 situation, they're able to turn around and pick up some much needed kills. But like we said, 4v3 situation because Hard was on the opposite side of the map. So Cloud9 Tempest maybe a little bit of overstepping their boundaries on that one, but they are still in control of the global objectives on the map. Picked up their second tower in the top lane at the same time with the enemy top laner away, but that gives Acadian a much needed kill. So we'll have to see if he's going to be able to make some of these roaming Rengar plays. His ultimate's going to be back up in just a couple seconds, and I'd be a little bit worried if I was Yasui pushing up this mid lane now.
Yeah, and they're going to have to be incredibly careful. They're not going to be able to do a whole lot to stop Rengar from coming in. Even with that notification, he's going to be so mobile. And this is Acadian style. You know, he finally found the kills he needed. He suffered early on, but this guy is an absolute terror with these aggressive picks. We saw that Yasuo, as I mentioned before, and now we're seeing the Rengar. 2-1, has the majority of his team's kills. Want to see if he can find more. Both teams, though, seem eager to skirmish now. Legendary looking a lot more confident after getting a few kills back there.
Yeah, most importantly now, Impactful has completed his Infinity Edge after that fight. He didn't pick up any kills, but he did wind up getting 2 assists in that one. So now the Infinity Edge, he hasn't picked up his boots quite yet, like Kalista does, so Lod's still ahead of him in that regard. But picking up an Infinity Edge now means that Lucian has a decent amount of damage, and they can potentially go to try to siege up this tower. Taking down the bottom lane tower, the next logical step is to rotate towards mid lane. So we'll have to see here, is it going to be just an all-out brawl? These teleports are not going to be up for these top laners, so right now it's just a straight 4v4 in mid lane until somebody makes a move.
They have to be careful. Of course, Sheep's flash will be up in just a matter of seconds. We've seen that pretty much use that on cooldown to start engage as Laud, of course, with the Fate's Call available as well. Cloud9 grouping around the mid lane. They want to press their advantage here, as you can see. Still only about 1k, but Yasui, you talked about the finished Infinity Edge for Lucian. Let's talk about the finished Luden's Echo for that Cassio as they push in here, and Yasui is just doing so much damage.
It is going to be a large amount of damage that now Yasui is going to be able to just spam down all those poison clouds underneath the tower. It's Noxus Blast. They're going to pack a punch. It's not just going to be the dot you have to worry about. It's going to be the burst damage from that Luden's Echo that you have to take into account. Bishu already feeling a bit of the burn from that one, is going to wind up recalling. Picks himself up a nice, needlessly large rod, though. So now there's a little bit of extra punch coming from Bishu's Sand Soldiers as well. Both of these teams, though, they just kind of be stalling out in this mid lane. If they wind up fighting and taking a tower, it's only going to be if it's a huge advantage for them. Dragon's going to be up in about 1 minute. I think that's where both of these teams actually have their sights set on. A lot of wards are kind of lining the river right now, a little bit more in favor of Legendary. The entrances to the enemy jungle are still warded up by Cloud9 Tempest, though. They're both kind of taking turns going back and forth, so even though we saw a lot of them grouping up in mid lane, it looks like that Dragon is going to be what both of these teams really want to go for.
We'll have to see. Obviously, both of the Dragon buff apiece. Second Dragon, not the most important. Maybe one of the teams will be happy to trade it, but you got to imagine, I mean, Legendary already known as a pretty bloodthirsty team from their early games. They've only played a couple so far, 2-2, their overall record since joining this league, and Cloud9, of course, with a pretty substantial record themselves. Only dropping in a couple games here. Well, the only team to take a game off Misfits, nonetheless. They love the team fights, but I think they're also willing to give it up. So, as you said, 16, 17 minutes left, or 17 seconds, not minutes, until the Dragon spawns. Games would be a lot longer with the 17-minute Dragon.
Yeah, especially if the team's win condition was to get 5 of those, then we'd wind up having a lot of ridiculously long games in League of Legends in general. But
Season 5. Oh, the engage! Law Pally finding him. We'll have to see if they can follow up. Trying to find his way on the Lod. Lod making it out, though. Not going to see too much. Teleport on the backside. Acadian ready to go in again if necessary. Looks like they're going to use all 5 members to push down for this Dragon, and just a burst of aggression coming in there for Law Pally.
That's 2 ultimates burned from the side of Legendary, though, so they have to be careful. Cloud9 Tempest still has all of those available, but we'll have to see where the Absolute Zero and the Emperor's Divide come into play here.
Maokai coming in, they could find a Rengar's ult has been used. It looks like the Absolute Zero going to be challenged. Keep caught out. He's going to find the Bear on a few, but it looks like the Emperor's Divide disengaging as Acadian finds himself in the middle of the team, dishing out a lot of damage but getting taken down. Dardoch trying to flash away, impactful out of mana, and Cloud9 with some superior team fighting turn that one instantly around. A 3-for-1 exchange. They lose the Dragon, but it looks like they'll be able to take everything else.
That was just such a great counter engage coming in from, it looked like it was just all sheep in that one. They wound up getting the Absolute Zero to kind of create some space. The Emperor's Divide came in and wound up pushing back C9 Tempest frontline into their backline. We saw Acadian jumping in. We saw that Bishu was able to run up and start getting some damage down, but Cloud9 Tempest, the anti-AoE stun, just stopped Legendary in their tracks. The ultimate from Cassiopeia, the Petrifying Gaze, still not used in that one. So the Fate's Call, still not used in that one, and we're seeing it used now.
The turn from Yasui, the exhaust coming out. Law Pally may try to find something, but there are so many members of Cloud9 here. His team is at his heels, trying to find a way in. Looks like we will back off. I thought for sure someone was going to go down there, but a great exhaust from Law Pally saves the life of his carry. And Yasui with the 3-man Petrifying Gaze. You got to give some respect to that Cassio. I mean, we're only 18 minutes in. This Cassio's not even strong yet, and already the potential to turn the fights is insane.
If you are Legendary, you got to get something off of this push. You burn the ultimate from Yasui, you burn the exhaust, and you know that he has to go back at this point. You need to use that Dragon buff that you just got to take as much map pressure as possible. You just lost a fight, and you lost your inner mid tower. It's 4 towers compared to 2 right now, and the gold count is ever increasing in the side of Cloud9 Tempest's favor. Like we said, the Cassiopeia keeps getting stronger. The Callista on the Blade of the Rune King has yet to go back, still has about 2.2k in her pocket. So that's going to be a second item spike coming up very, very soon for the Callista. You need to make sure that you can knock down all these outer towers and utilize that extra damage to turrets and structures that you just picked up. If you're not going to be able to do that and you're going to be waiting up for another one of these objectives like the 3rd Dragon, like the Baron to kind of be the fight area, right now it's going to be in Cloud9 Tempest's favor.
And Acadian only getting stronger. Maybe the only hope for Legendary we'll have to see is Bishu scales up as well. But now with the finished Blast Whisper as well as the Tiamat, we'll be able to rip through that Callista if left alone, if given the opportunity. And for Legendary, you know, it may not seem like a whole lot is on the line, only seeding to come into account here, and it's not even about the difference between Frank Fan Gaming and Misfits, but the eagerness to prove themselves. They're a young team. Bishu, Law Pally, every member of this team eager to prove themselves, eager to get back into the challenger scene overall, and taking down Cloud9 would be a great first step.
I mean, even in that case, if you want to win AlphaDraft, if you want to show yourself to be a force in the Challenger Series, what better way to do it than to beat the top-tier competition? This is Cloud9 Tempest. They've been a big name in the Challenger scene for a while, since Bishu was on the team. So what a better way to make a name for yourself than coming in, inheriting a record that wasn't the best in the world, still grinding out AlphaDraft, making it into the playoffs, and then taking down one of the teams that people expected to do well, expected to maybe even win the tournament. That would be a massive confidence boost for some of these fresher faces in the challenger scene. But right now, they got to take it one game at a time. It's a best of 3 series, and right now they're down about 3,000 gold in this first game. Baron is live on the map. Dragon not necessarily going to be coming up in anytime soon, but you need to be able to compose yourself. You need to be able to farm yourself up to the point where you have the power spike on your side. We'll have to see if they can even get there at that point. Bishu has a needlessly large rod. He has nothing on the Luden's Echo and Saris Embrace from Cassiopeia.
Vanguard has been used, throw the hunt on the way in. Acadian is going to flash out here, loses the ult for nothing. May find his way into Law. Pally finding 2 with the engage. Calista on the backside though, Nunu channeling the ult, and they're going down left and right. But Bishu able to find something back with the help of this team. Law trying to find the solo kill. Impactful not able to find anything. And a close fight, but all turning in the favor of Cloud9. As only Hard is left standing. Excuse me, the 1-for-1 trade in the end there as an overall 4-for-5. Legendary found a fight, and they took it.
That was one of the more interesting fights. Not only did they fight in a small choke area, as you can see all the dead bodies just in the Wraith Raptor camp area on the map. Not only was it such a confined choke point, but everybody got their ultimates off. We saw Acadian being able to jump down onto one of the squishier targets in Cloud9 Tempest and be able to deal the damage that Rengar pick is going to provide. We saw the Absolute Zero getting a decent channel, dealing a decent amount of AoE damage, and making sure that Cloud9 Tempest had some of their health bars down low. And we had the Emperor's Divide playing kind of spoiler in that fight, because Bishu threw it down in the middle of such a confined, tight area that Kalista wasn't really able to hop around. The only problem is this Kalista has so many items with the Runon's Hurricane and Blade of the Rune King Power Spike that Shoots is able to melt everybody down in that engage.
Probably could be trouble though here as he's getting picked off. Cloud9 eager to find something, and a quick kill going down in their favor. Dragon, of course, 48 seconds away. We'll have to see if they turn their attention elsewhere, or if they're just going to create some vision here. And Cloud9 are so on point. Of course, the only ult not used, as far as I can tell, is going to be Yasui's Petrifying Gaze, so that might have been the difference. But you were right, Bishu just so on point as the Dardock getting bullied out here. They have to be careful.
Yep, looks like they're just going to blow a couple ultimates and back away. And the bad part about this from Legendary is that the Dragon coming up in just 20 seconds and their Sightstone just respawning, that is Alistar. They're not going to be able to put down and regain control of vision around that Dragon. So we already see Acadian making some adjustments for Legendary, going to be split pushing in this top lane. Both those top laners have teleport available if a Dragon fight does break out. But if you're Legendary, you want to get the third Dragon buff. You want to get that bonus move speed. Cloud9, they don't have to take this Dragon. They can sit there and bait it. They can push out the bottom lane like Lada is doing right now. They can wait for Legendary to come to them. And Legendary, I don't know how much time they have to just sit and stall right now.
Yasui playing patiently around the corner as the bait, as you said. Looks like there's a little bit of vision, enough to deny this engage, but they're now turning their attention toward Dragon. As hard at work, bringing that one down for the team. Dang, an accidental pun. And
yeah, they're hard to
avoid. And it's going to be 2 for 2 now, the score in Dragons, as each team kind of backs off. The reason to fight not really present anymore. Legendary, though, pushing down the mid lane. They have all 5 members. Maybe trying to find an engage here. We're going to have to see.
See, the best part about this play from Cloud9 Tempest was Hard was basically soloing the Dragon while they were pressuring that bottom tower, while they were putting vision down over by the blue buff from Legendary. The Dragon was kind of just an afterthought. Like you said, Dragon number 2, not the most powerful in the terms of the Dragon buff. However, if you're going to be denying that one from Legendary while you're also denying them pressure in the bot lane and while you're defending your top lane tower so they can't split push it down, why the heck not? An afterthought Dragon, not the worst thing in the world right here. So now Cloud9 Tempest firmly in control. They've established vision control on the opposite side too, and they've actually started up this Baron. And with Cassiopeia and Kalista, that's going to go down quick.
A risky maneuver, but definitely a show of confidence in Cloud9 to take this down without fear. Not a single member of Legendary present, and that's the quick 24-minute Baron, and now a 5k gold lead in the favor of Cloud9. Earlier, they gave a lot of respect to Legendary after that team fight that went awry, but now, after taking that Dragon for free, it looks like they just had the confidence to move on to that Baron. And as you said it, flexing their muscles, eager to show that they are the top challenger team.
Well, that's the thing. They took that dragon as pretty much a free thing because they were pushing up the bottom lane into the tier 2 tower, and they'd already killed the tier 2 mid lane tower after the previous dragon fight. So we saw Bishu erecting a tower in the mid lane, and they were defending and pushing out that wave. So because they didn't have pressure on the map, they weren't able to just go and put wards down in the Baron pit until they saw it was already around 5,000 HP. At that point, you commit yourself to a fight with all of Cloud9 Tempest right there. You're going to have to hope for a godly engage coming out from Rengar in order to burst down one target in the pit. But at the same time, you're also going to have to contest against a Baron up Cloud9 Tempest after that. So Legendary were a little bit helpless in that situation. Just kind of had to let them take it.
There's a lot of pressure on Acadian right now. He's one of the few options that Cloud9 has, or sorry, that Legendary has, to get an engage on their terms, and he's going to use the thrill of the hunt. We may yet see that engage as he finds his way. He's going to try to take down Sheep in an instant. He is blown up. Fate's Call going to save his life. While Pally on the backside, not able to do too much as every member of Legendary tries to find their way in. Maokai trying to disrupt the team by Lodge. Healthy on the backside, and Acadian blown up in an instant. Yasui finds his way onto that Rengar. Bishu trying to shut down Yasui, but it's not enough. And Cloud9, despite an excellent engage from Legendary, turn that one around. A beautiful base call, and now a triple kill, and almost guaranteedly the quadra.
And the surrender vote. That's it.
Absolutely crushing on the side of Legendary, and backing out on that one, and I cannot blame them. An 8k gold lead in the favor of Cloud9, showing their experience, and Legendary have to be left hurting after that one.
And that's the problem with Legendary's comp. You saw right there, their engage tool is Thrill of the Hunt and blowing up one target and then trying to force a chaotic team fight by using the Emperor's Divide and the Absolute Zero in conjunction with one another. But the problem is Acadian, he had 4 kills in this game. Yeah, he had some of the core items that he needed, but the side of Cloud9 Tempest were so buffed up, had a lot of extra gold on their carries, that he wasn't able to really melt down or catch any of them whatsoever. So they have to go in on the support. And with the Callista pickup, one of the things that we kind of forgot about is when your engage tool is the Annie or your engage tool is the Maokai. Maokai isn't necessarily going to get blown up by anybody on Legendary's lineup, and the Annie, even if she gets caught out of position, even if she flash engages and then gets turned on because